we're gonna build some custom skates. Do I know what I'm doing? No. Am I gonna mess this up? Probably. Hopefully it'll at least be funny. Bad news. I've been wanting a pair of custom skates for a while. I've been wanting to make some sneaker skates so that I have something that is a little lighter and easier to travel with. I'm also just curious how a flat shoe will skate versus a heeled boot like in the Moxie Lollies, which is what I've been skating on for years. And a lovely friend of mine gifted me a fresh pair of white Sunlight plates, and I thought, wow, we have to put them to good use. So I snagged myself a pair of Vans skate highs. These ones are suede, which I thought would be great. Hopefully they'll hold up a little bit better than the canvas ones do. And we're gonna build some skates. So let's do this. All right, so first off, the most important components that you're gonna need. Obviously, a pair of plates. Make sure that you get the right size plate for the size shoe that you're using, for your size of foot. You're also gonna need, obviously, a rad pair of sneakers. I've read a bunch of forums, a bunch of articles, watched a ton of YouTube videos, and it's definitely recommended that you go up at least a half size in your shoe size so that you have enough space to fit an aluminum plate. This is super essential, especially for something like a Vans or a Converse sneaker that's going to be flexible. You need a metal insole to help give this a little bit of rigidity so that your bolts don't get pulled through your skate when you're doing some sweet tricks. And so, speaking of which, I got these awesome aluminum plates from Roll Around Skate Shop. You can get these on their Etsy. I think they were about $25, which was very affordable, a little cheaper than the CIB inserts, and I was just mostly concerned with being able to get them quickly. So these are all custom cut to Vans sneakers specifically, so you can let them know what size of Vans shoe you're getting. Remember to go up a half size, and these inserts are all cut custom specifically to the shape of a Vans sneaker, which is very convenient. Could you use these with other shoes? Most likely yes, but you might run into having a little bit of the shape being different. You might have to shave it down, grind it down, or something like that, but you probably could use it for any old shoe. Those are our main components. Make sure you take out your laces. Make sure you take out your inserts. The next step, I highly recommend watching some other videos on how to do this and doing some research, but you're going to need to mark out the center line of your shoe. I did that by lining up roughly where I think I want my plate to go as far as distance-wise this way. You kind of want to make sure that your back trucks are centered beneath your heel. And then from there, I marked out on the sides where these holes are, and I used that to figure out what the center line is in between the two holes. You want this center line so that you can line up your plate and make sure you're getting it straight, because what looks straight on the shoe isn't necessarily what's actually straight in the way your foot sits on it. So I watched a bunch of videos on this. I read a bunch of articles and forums on this. Hopefully I did it right. We will find out. But once you get your center line on here, you want to line up your plate. You know, get it all centered. There's kind of a natural line that occurs like through the plate that you can see. So you want to get that lined up with your center line. So you can kind of see, like, this isn't necessarily where you would think the center of the skate is. So you get that lined up, and then you're going to use a Sharpie or a pin to mark each of these drill holes. You do that on both of your skates. I've got the bottom of my shoes marked out. I know where all my drill holes are going to go. Next, I'm going to put my aluminum inserts in before I start drilling, because what I want to have happen here is to drill through the shoe and have the drill bit make little marks. I gotta push this in here. We're gonna have the drill bit make little marks on the insole so that I know specifically where the holes need to go on the insole. I'm not gonna attempt to drill all the way through the metal insole and the shoe at the same time. little bit of work because that seems risky. I don't know. And like it might be kind of hard. So, get these bad boys in here. Hopefully I can get them back out. Yeah. The struggle is real. Get a free workout when you build your own skates as well. Alright, so our insoles are in here. They fit perfectly. I can't bend the shoe anymore. And we're gonna get to drilling. It's time to drill, y'all. So for the drill bit, I'm using these cobalt bits, which are nice because they easily drill through metal. I think a regular drill bit would probably make quick work of definitely shoe sole and definitely the aluminum plate, but I'm extra, and when you have diamond bit drill bits, you just gotta use them. So, and I am using, I don't even know what size this is, but basically, I just looked at the holes in the bottom of my plate and made sure that my drill bit was like just about the same size as that. That should make it about the same size as the hardware that's gonna be going through. You don't want it to be too big, obviously, otherwise your screw will pull through, but this is how I'm doing it. I've got my aluminum sole in here. I'm gonna put some socks in here just because I want it to help. I don't want that sole to move around as I'm drilling. I don't think it will because it's a really tight fit. If you are making your own insole or you have an insole that doesn't fit super securely, you might want to like use a clamp or something to help hold it in place. But I think she's gonna be pretty secure. I mean, maybe we'll use a clamp just to have fun, but maybe don't put the clamp right where you're gonna drill your holes. All right, let's do this. Oh God, we hit metal. One thing I should mention that I saw in a video earlier, it recommended that if your mark is on, like on the tread in a space that's not flat, to use like an X-Acto knife or a razor blade to cut that little section of tread out. Because if you don't cut this out and it's a little like wonky, then your drill bit, when you go to drill in it, it might miss and kind of shoot over here, which when you go to line this all up, it won't be aligned, and that will suck. So I'm gonna trim out a little bit of this. You can see here, I've just kind of cut it out a little bit so that it's easier for that drill bit to get in there. If you try to drill like on a surface like right here on top of this tread, your drill bit's most likely to fall off of that and go in here, which, you know, you really want these to be as accurate as possible when you're drilling these holes. So, pro tip. I guess I would really recommend these diamond bits. They drilled clear through my sneaker, so, or through my plate without me even having to take them out. So that is kind of awesome. Wow, look at that. So the learning has already begun. One thing I will say, if you use a diamond bit, these things are dangerous. I've definitely cut myself really badly on these bits before, learned my lesson. But one thing to know is that if you use this diamond bit when you're going through your shoe and your plate, I mean, this thing went clean through this plate. I don't need, usually I was just expecting for it to make a little divot and then I would take this out and then drill the holes, but I mean, it literally bore clean through this. One thing I will say, I'm really glad I put some socks in here, because once that drill bit came through here and found that metal, it really surged forwards, and if I didn't have these socks in here, I think I would have very likely might have drilled through the other side of my shoe if I wasn't being really careful. So definitely glad I put some socks in here. Would highly recommend that you do that. regardless of if you're using one of these crazy drill bits or a regular one. This is really good. It stopped me from messing up the interior of the shoe or possibly coming through the other side of it, which would be a real bummer. So I'm gonna take these now very chewed up and covered in metal flakes socks out. I'm gonna take my plates out just to get all the little tiny shards of metal that are in here out, because I don't want to find those in the bottom of my feet later when I'm skating. These things are a perfect fit in here. I mean, like, no joke. But you can see in here, there's all these little metal shards. You want to make sure you clean all of those out, because if you get one of these in your foot, it's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be fun to dig out. So I'm gonna go clean this out. So now that I've got my skates cleaned out, I've put my metal insoles back in, and next I have fed my hardware, which are these little screws, through each of the holes and out the sole of the skate, something like this. It takes a little doing to get these pushed through here, but you just have to work at them a little bit until you get them all the way through. And then we put our plate on. Something that makes it a little bit easier to put your plate on is to kind of work your screws back out a little bit, so they're not all the way, so they're not sticking all the way out, because they kind of tend to go in all different directions, which makes it really hard to get them to align with these holes. It's fine once they're going through, because you trim most of it down, but whew. One thing that'll make it a lot easier to mount your skates is taking off your trucks and your cushions. Okay, so we've got all of our screws through, and we're going to align it with our plate. Hopefully they align. This always takes a little noodling. Yes. Yes. Alright, push these all the way in. Oh yeah, baby. Super key piece of information. Make sure you put your toast up. Toe. For your hardware, you're gonna have some little washers you're gonna want to put on, and then you have these nuts that have these like locking, I don't know, little guys on them that make them look like tiny cute octopus. This will help your nut to lock on to the screw so that you don't lose your nuts when you're skating, which would suck to lose your nuts. This is too big. So what I'm doing to get this, I'm going to get this nut all the way up to the top. Like that. But you don't want to make it super, super tight until you have put all of them on first, and then go around and tighten them one at a time evenly. You want to go around and evenly tighten them so that you don't end up putting too much pressure in one spot. You still have a little bit of movement in the plate so that you can get all these other pieces put on. So I'm just going to go on. I'm also being cheap and lazy, and I'm reusing the hardware that was on these before. And because I'm doing that, the beginning of each of these screws is kind of messed up because it's been sawed off from a previous pair of skates. So it's kind of hard to get the nut onto a screw like this. Definitely don't really recommend. It'd be better if you just weren't cheap and lazy and got new hardware, but you know, I want skates and I want them now, so this is what's happening. Am I regretting my choices right now? Yes, yes I am. Just only a little bit though. Commence a time lapse with possible pauses for me cursing. Yes, go. So, got all of my washers and nuts on. They are tight and secured. The one thing I'm worried about that maybe I overlooked in my research is all of my screws have like this kind of head, which is great for countersinking into the softer sole of a shoe, but this isn't countersinking into the aluminum. So all of these screws are like standing up a little bit, which I know I don't want. So I'm not sure if it would have been better for me to get a different kind of screw in here, or I don't know, maybe once I put my inserts on top of it, I might not notice it. I don't know. Luckily this isn't new hardware, I didn't buy it. It was gonna get thrown away anyways, so we'll just see what happens. I was planning on putting a little bit of a stacked heel back here anyways, so hopefully that'll help. We'll find out. If not, I'll just have to cut all these bolts off or screws off and do it all over again. It's fine, right? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Great. Okay. Yeah, so now that we've got all of these screwed on, I am gonna go through and cut off. All these bolts need to be trimmed down. Obviously, these guys would get in the way of your wheels, and also you don't want to snag your hands on these nasty little bolts when you're trying to do sweet grabs and get sick air. So we're gonna trim these down. You can use a Dremel tool for these with like a diamond disc bit. I don't have one of those, and they were like $30, so I was like, you know, it works just as good. Handsaw. So let's do it. Great, so now I've got all of my bolts trimmed down and I've sanded everything off so there's no sharp edges, and I am ready to put my trucks on. One thing I wanted to do, since I'm going for this cool like retro 70s motif, is I pulled the old cushions off of my Moxie plates, which I updated my Moxie plates to some sunlights for my penny trucks, and I still have all these cushions, and I thought that these orange cushions would be an awesome addition to these skates. So let's put on these trucks. Again. Skate tool for this that would be a lot easier, but it's all the way inside the house. Those are probably way too tight, but alright. Ha-ha! Skate number 1 is done. I am going to put the insole back in this. I'm going to put some wheels on this. I'm going to test out to see if these screw heads that are sticking up and not sitting flush are going to be a problem, because if they are, then I don't really want to do the same thing in the other skate, so I might have to do a little troubleshooting. Bad news. I just tried these on. I can totally feel these bolts in here. They're like these little heads are sticking up through this aluminum plate. I can feel it. All I had to do was stand up, and I was like, this is not good. This is not going to work. So, I don't know. I have to figure out what to do. I'm going to go research the interwebs, call some friends, and try to figure out what I can do different. I have a couple of other kinds of screws here, but I don't really think that they'll make a difference because they also have a little cone shape on them. So I don't fucking know, but we're gonna figure it out. So stay tuned. Well, when it comes to roller skating, can anything ever be just easy? Of course not. I ran into a little bit of problem with this hardware, which is made to countersink into your roller skate boot. It, however, does not sink into your metal plate. So we had to do some troubleshooting. I had to go back through with the drill and countersink these holes and get a slightly different type of screw that will sit a little bit more flush with the metal. And we're finally ready to put these puppies together. So let's do it. What? I got my bolt cutters.
You're amazing.
Fetch the bolt cutters, ladies. Also, don't forget your safety gear. Bolt cutters, yeah. Then I'm gonna file down these bolts so I don't hurt myself. Because let's be real, I'm very liable to hurt myself. Cool, missing a bolt. Cool, cool, cool. Of course, missing a nut. Found it. Yeah, damn. Of course, would not be complete without an orange Kaya toe stop. I love these toe stops. They are so thick and chunky, just like me. Here we go. All right, these guys are laced up and ready to roll. Woo! So excited to try these out. Finish them up just in time for the sun to go down. So I guess it's good that I have light up wheels on. It'll make it a little safer. Cannot wait to test drive these guys. Let's